Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 39 of the Drop It Weight Loss Wellness Wisdom podcast. If it's your first time on the show, welcome. I'm your host, Nick Geoppo, and every single year from 2013 to 2019, I lost and then gained back 50 plus pounds on every single diet anyone on this planet, including you, if you're listening to this, have tried before. I always lost the weight and I always gained the weight back because I learned that the way you lose weight dictates how sustainable your results are. And I don't want to live in restriction for the rest of my life, or counting calories for the rest of my life, or being keto for the rest of my life, or intermittently fasting and never eating breakfast literally ever again. The way you lose weight dictates how sustainable your results are. The one thing I never learned on a diet was balance. Keyword, balance. So what I did in 2019 was I just built my own diet, and I called it the Common Sense Diet. And the Common Sense Diet taught me how to have balance. It taught me how to control my environment and then exist outside of my environment in the world with other people or eating out or whatever with balance. When I taught myself those two things, I lost 110 pounds, and now I've kept the weight off for almost 6 years. And I'm telling you this so that you can know that sustainable weight loss is absolutely possible. Natural, sustainable weight loss is absolutely possible. And I hope that's one thing that you feel to be true after listening to so many episodes of this podcast. The topic of today's episode is generational obesity. So often we talk about why we want to lose weight. And all the time on this podcast, we're talking about positive reasons to lose weight. Not things like looking better and feeling better, but things like feeling more alive and more energized and younger than you've ever felt before, prioritizing your health so that you can live a happier, more fulfilled life and feel better in your own body. And how great is that, right? We always talk about why we are losing weight and getting to a stronger why so that we can stay consistent even when we aren't motivated. But something that we don't talk about as often is, why are we fat? What led to our own obesity in the first place? Because the reality is that the reason why most people fail at weight loss on these restrictive diets is because they never actually address the thing that led to our own obesity in the first place. And obesity is a disease of the mind more so than it is a disease of the body. You have to cure your fat mind before you cure your fat body, or use the working on your body as a tool to cure your mind. You can binge exercise. You can even binge a diet, which is a funny way of wording it, for 30, 60, 90 days and lose a bunch of weight. But who are you on day 76 of 75 hard? Who are you on day 31 of Whole30, right? Did you learn these things on your diet that you can apply to the rest of your life or not? Most of the time, not. What I'm really getting at here is the body follows the mind. A lot of the times the reason why, and everybody knows that. We all know that. Fat people know that. Skinny people know that. Kids know that. People that were never even fat and know nothing about obesity know that. And a lot of the times that's why people talk about things like skinny privilege. It's why a lot of the times as an obese person, I was, and you might be, facing people making assumptions about you all the time, even though those assumptions might not be true. It might not be true that you're lazy. It might not be true that you're not disciplined. It is true that you're not prioritizing your health the way that you could be, should be, maybe would benefit from, and everyone around you might benefit from, right? And that's okay. You've tried a lot of things. That's how you got to this podcast, because now we're looking for sustainability. But we all know that the body follows the mind. The mind is the general. The troops are the body. We need to work on the mindset. And to work on the mindset, we have to understand how we got fat in the first place. For a lot of us, it has to do with some sort of trauma in the form of how we grew up. It could be a specific thing that happened to you. Maybe you were bullied when you were a kid. Maybe you had one specific incident happen to you when you were younger, or someone told you that you couldn't or that you weren't enough. But for most of us, it actually has to do with our parents. It actually has to do with what we ate when we were growing up. It actually has to do with the way that our parents talked about food when we grew up. It actually has to do with the fact that we didn't have two parents that were present in our life, or any parents that were present in our life, where we were really uncomfortable when we were younger. So we used food to comfort ourselves, and we just never actually went back and realized that and then worked to address the issue, or we don't know how to address the issue. There's so many possibilities. But what you need to understand is obesity is trauma. The fat on your body literally is trauma. And when you lose weight, you breathe it out of your mouth. in the form of CO2. You are literally healing your own past and your own traumatic experiences, whether it was a one-time incident or a lifestyle that you adopted when you were a kid in reaction to anything that was happening around you, positive or negative, that you just never worked through. You can work through it by losing weight, but we need to understand what it is that we're working through. Were your parents fat? Or did your parents eat bullshit growing up? Did your parents feed you a bunch of bullshit growing up? A lot of the times we blame our parents. But what you have to realize is it might be their fault. It might not be our fault that we're fat, right? Let's just say it is their fault, right? That's okay if you feel like that. Whether it is or isn't doesn't matter. If you think it is their fault, then it is their fault to you, because whatever you believe is true for you. So if that's your truth, here's an appropriate mindset to adopt. Though it is their fault and it's not your fault that you're fat, it is your responsibility to address the issue. Because if your parents are the reason you're fat, your parents definitely will not be the reason that you get healthy and that you lose weight and that you get fit. So we've got to take full responsibility and recognize it doesn't actually matter whose fault it is, but we need to understand how this all came to be. And a lot of the times when we look at people that have unhealthy relationships with food, even real eating disorders, things like bulimia, things that are a lot more serious that can lead to people's hospitalizations, they come from situations where parents were saying things like, don't eat that, that'll make you fat. Eat this healthy food, eat your vegetables, they'll make you skinny. When our parents are using language like fat and skinny, healthy and unhealthy, and these sorts of things, it's not that they're necessarily wrong. It's just that we are wired for restriction early. And we're wired to focus on the negative in what we're cutting out early. And that's not a great thing to think about when you're a kid. We don't want to be living in a place of restriction when we're children, right? We want to live in a place of what we're focusing on the positive. What are we eating? So this is all stemming from a conversation that I had with a client of mine who's also a part of our weight loss community here online. And she was asking me about how to have conversations about weight loss with her children. And some things that we never want to do is tell our kids that we're on a diet or put our kids on a diet. We want to use the language because diets are restrictive in nature. There's a dreadful tone. Diet literally has the word die, D-I-E, in it, right? We don't want our kids to start associating food with skinniness and lack of ice cream. Don't eat ice cream because it'll make you fat. Let's just eat vegetables because they'll make you skinny. We don't want our kids to start thinking like that because it's going to fuck with their heads for the rest of their lives and put them in a position where they're going to be looking for someone online with a podcast, trying to help them find the way through the issue that developed because the language that their parents used were wrong, right? Instead, I invite you, if you are a parent, to talk to your children in a way that focuses on what you are actually doing. Focus on the positive. So if your kid wants to eat ice cream 3 days in a row, it's not, hey, we're not eating ice cream because ice cream's bad for you. It's instead, we're eating fruit today because fruit is really, really great for our bodies. We're not focusing on what's bad for us. We're focusing on what's good for us. We want to help our children wire their own brains and wire our children's brains to focus on prioritizing our health, not just by cutting out bullshit, by actually focusing on what is helping us move in the more positive direction. In my own situation, I grew up eating a bunch of fucking microwave food. A bunch of microwave food. My family cooked every once in a while, but it was a lot of microwave food. Some of my go-to meals when I was a kid all the way through high school were I'd take 15 microwave Tostitos pizza rolls and I would line the plate with them because 15 fit the circle of the plate perfectly. Then I would take Doritos and Sun Chips after microwaving it and make a mountain of them. And then I would mix them all up into a little plate and just eat this mush of pizza and Doritos or Sun Chips. Like that was a go-to meal for me. We used to get McDonald's cinnamon rolls 3 or 4 days a week on the way to school for breakfast. So I just grew up eating fucking absolute dog shit. Did my family know that I was eating dog shit? Yes, but my family ate dog shit their entire lives. So they're passing down to me these habits that they didn't address. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? These family members addressed a lot of other things in their life that they didn't pass down to me, like abusiveness or being raised in poverty or whatever it might be for you, right? All of these different things that my family or healed that they didn't pass down to me, they're not going to heal everything, right? So I looked at it as my responsibility to, this shit got passed down to me. This will get passed down to my child or children in the future should I not be the one to heal it. If you are obese, and your partner is overweight as well, you will have overweight children. It's like 85% probability when you look it up. I mean, you're going to have overweight children, right? A lot of us that are overweight had overweight parents or have our overweight parents now, or our parents are already dead or they're deathly ill due to their own obesity and the way that they've taken care of themselves in their entire lives, right? So we can blame them if we want to, but we still have to step into responsibility and recognize that your parents and my parents did not have access to the information we have now. They grew up in an era, or maybe even you, right? You might be my family member's age that I'm talking about in your 50s, 60s, or 70s. Grew up in an era where we were told that salt gives you high blood pressure, that red meat is bad for you, and all sugar from fruit is bad and it makes you fat, and that fat makes you fat. And the way to lose weight is to go low carb. Well, you know what that leaves you with? Chicken and fucking tofu and vegetables. So you're just going to eat chicken and tofu and vegetables, right? Like, it's just absolute total dog shit. That's the mindset that people grew up in. And as media was commercials, as all these different fat burner medications, all this crazy shit that we were focused on, and our parents were focused on, or we were focused on years ago, trying to find the quick fix, we all learned that the quick fix doesn't actually exist. And now you're listening to this podcast and learning and realizing, and the reason this is resonating with you is because you inherently know that to lose weight and keep it off, you have to practice your mindset, sustainability, and lifestyle changes more than you do restriction. Yet we still use restrictive language with our children unknowingly. Unknowingly. If you are a parent and you're fat and you're on your own weight loss journey right now of prioritizing your health instead of dieting, practice being intentional with your children about these things. Lead by example for your children. Show your children that you can change your fucking life and be the inspiration. Your children are going to look back in 20 years and go, God, my mom was fat. My dad was fat. And they really got their fucking act together. That is so cool. That is so cool. And you're going to have this before and after picture that you're going to show them when they're older. And they're going to be like, what the fuck? That is so cool. And then they're going to laugh. And you're going to laugh. And you're going to be like, tell me that you can't. Tell me that you can't graduate from high school or college or get this job or whatever. Tell me that you can't. You're showing them a side-by-side picture of you after you lost weight naturally by just working on your mindset. It's so tough. It's so tough because this visual that I had that helped me through weight loss a lot, I do not have kids right now, but this visual was, we all grow up as kids being told we can do anything that we want to do. And for a little bit of time, we believe it, right? But I had this visual of me being a dad, looking down at my son specifically, and I'm like, son, you can do anything that you want to do in this life. And he's looking back up at me, and I'm 350 pounds with a fucking diabetic patch on, and didn't get him the mother that he deserved because I didn't have the confidence to really go after the woman that I really wanted, or the woman that I really wanted didn't like me because I didn't even like myself because I didn't take care of myself. And how can I expect the people that I want to be in my life when I don't even fucking love myself or care for myself and haven't even done the work to prioritize my own fucking health? How can I expect my woman to think that I'm going to be able to take care of her when I can't even fucking take care of myself, right? And you could hear my energy shift into more sternness. I meet this sternness with compassion. This is what sustainable weight loss and mindset work is all about. It's not all about positivity always. There's times where you got to crack the whip on yourself and come the fuck on. Come on. If you're fat, your kids will be fat. Your kids will be fat. That doesn't mean you need to lose 100 pounds in 6 months and do a crazy restrictive diet. It means that you need to change your lifestyle and wake up in the morning and go on a 10-minute walk and take your fucking kids with you. They would probably benefit from having some healthy, positive experiences with you as a parent, right? You want to meet your grandkids? Again, we're back to the sternness. This is how I've talked to myself for a lot of my journey. Nick, you want to meet your fucking grandkids? Like, okay, you better lose some weight because you're not going to live there. There's a reality where we just don't see a lot of old fat people. You just don't see people that are 70 years old that are morbidly obese. You don't. And it's a sad thing. They died, typically of something related to their own obesity. I see 80 and 90-year-olds smoking cigarettes all the fucking time. How is that possible? Right? And it's like, we know that what we're doing is fucking killing us. And we know that it's killing our kids, but we still do it. We still do it, and we just avoid the thought. You've got to come to terms with the discomfort of what is happening and really zoom out from the feeling that you have in your body and in your mind. Zoom out and look at yourself from a third-party perspective, like from a camera's view in the corner of the room, and look at your own life and go, shit, imagine looking at your kid in those two situations, right? You've got no money because you never went for that job. Your clothes don't fit you well and this was my whole fucking life This is my whole reality. Your clothes fit you like shit. You work a job that you hate because you never developed a lot of self-belief. You're popping Tums like candy. You're on all these weird medications. You're feeling sad. Should you get on antidepressants? Maybe you're already on them. Should you get on anti-anxiety medication? Maybe you're already on them, right? How many fat burners have you done? How many crazy diets have you done where your kids are just starting to lose faith in you because you lost faith in yourself? How are your kids going to believe in you when you don't even believe in yourself? You've got to develop self-belief. Step into action and develop some self-belief, and then meet yourself with compassion. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Lose weight for love. You don't have to lose weight for hatred. You don't have to hate yourself into weight loss. Do it because you love yourself. Speak to yourself sternly because you love yourself, not because you're bullying yourself. Do it because you actually know what to do to cure your own obesity. You inherently know that if you eat healthier foods and healthier portion sizes, that you're going to lose weight. And you know that there's a ripple effect in your life that's going to impact everyone. Imagine that you're fit and you achieved everything you ever wanted to achieve, and then you tell your kids or your grandkids or your great-great-grandkids when you're 90 or 100 years old that they can be anything they want to be. And they go, what? What do you mean? That's not true. And then you tell them your story about how you conquered generational addiction and obesity and how you decided that you were going to be the person that led by example through action. Not just through words and talking, but through action. And everyone's going to want to know what you did and how you did it. Like, that can be you. You just have to just snap your finger and decide that that is going to be you. And you can, and your kids will benefit so much. So much. The alternative is that all the pain that you have felt through your own obesity, everything you've ever thought, whether it's true or not, about if I was skinny then, if I lost weight, then I'd be happy. Like that, we tend to place our happiness on the other side of achievement, right? For me, the happiness and the joy and the self-belief was actually in the journey of addressing these issues. It wasn't in hitting a number on the scale. And it's probably the same for you and most people when you really reflect on your journey after you achieve what it is you're looking to achieve. The achievement doesn't feel that great. It feels good for like a week. And you're like, oh, okay, that's it. Now I've got to figure out how to sustain this. Was what I did really sustainable? That all being said, you can really be the inspiration to the people around you. And every single negative thing you ever thought, would I be happier? Would I have married Mary Kate 15 years ago? Would John have wanted to be my husband if I was skinny 11 years ago? All these thoughts you have, again, whether they're true or not, your fucking kids are going to have all the exact same thoughts. Every doctor's appointment you've ever had related to something that probably has something to do with food or obesity, your kid's going to have the same experience. Every negative self-hate thought you've ever felt when you looked in the mirror and you fucking cried and you don't want to be in pictures anymore and you can't smile when you see yourself naked and sex isn't that good anymore and you don't want to have sex because you're so insecure and your kids are going to feel all of the same things that you are feeling. Think about how fucking crazy that is. All of the bullshit. Whether it's true or not, all the bullshit that you've ever thought about your own weight, your kids are going to fucking feel it. I felt it all. And my family felt it all. And then I felt it all. And then I was given the opportunity to just decide. And then I did. And you can do the same thing. Otherwise, they're fucked. The same way that you're fucked. And they're going to have to be the people to figure it out. Imagine what else they can do with their lives should they not have the same issues that you had growing up. Imagine how much more mental energy they're going to have to put into anything else. Imagine if your kid was destined to cure cancer, but they can't because they feel like shit because they're so fat. Like, how much more could they do with their life if they didn't have to take all of the thought and all of the negativity and all the self-hatred that I felt and that you have felt at some point in your life related to your own obesity? If you just never had that, how different would your life be and how different would their life be? Like, we owe it. It's not about our kids. It's not about us or our kids. It's about the human race. We owe it to the world to address these issues in ourselves so that our kids don't pass the same issues down. Your bloodline will continue to have the same traumatic experiences, the same typical lifestyles, and the same habits until somebody fixes them. And you get to fix them. It's the most beautiful opportunity in the world. It's literally why you are here. It's literally why you are here. And you're not going to heal everything. You're not going to heal every trauma. You're not going to fix everything, and your kids are going to live this perfect fucking life. Like, that's not going to happen. Your kids are going to have problems, and they're going to have problems that they inherited from you. Hopefully not around obesity or food, but maybe they already do, right? Let's say that they don't, and you do all this work, and you practice positive language. You teach your kids all about how to eat healthy foods, and you don't talk shit about negative foods to make it so that they are all restrictive and end up binge eating later in life and losing and gaining weight forever the way that I did, right? Let's say you figured all that out with 100% accuracy, and your kids were just the walking symbols of health. They're still going to have fucking issues, and they're going to have issues that they got from you. They're going to have issues from their childhood. Every single person does. Every single person does. You do, I do, my great-great-great-grandkids do, my great-great-great-grandparents did. It's a part of being a human, right? Give them the opportunity to focus on the issues that you are not as focused on so that your family can get better every generation. Like, generational improvement is the betterment of the world. And you can fix this. You're being called to fix this issue. If you're 21 minutes into this podcast episode, you're still here because you know that this is the issue that you are supposed to fix. Your kids want a different one. They don't want to hear the story about how mom, dad couldn't figure it out, so now I'm doing this one. They want a different story. They want a different mission. They want to focus on something else. They don't want to put all this mental effort into this. Let's make it their default. The way we're going to make it their default is by leading by example and doing it in us. Come on, guys. We got it. We are the ones. Because we just decided to be them. Not because the world wants us to. It's because we just decided. You've already decided that you're the one. You just haven't fully committed to it yet. But you can right now. I'm right here with you. I've been there, and I'm still here, and I'm still deep in this fucking work. I live this shit. Live this shit with me for a little bit. You absolutely have what it takes to lose weight and keep it off forever. You absolutely have what it takes to inspire other people through your own journey. You absolutely have what it takes to be the inspiration to your children. You absolutely have what it takes to tell your son or your daughter that they could be anything they want in this life without them looking up at you thinking, well, is this what you wanted? And you're 350 pounds and all this other shit. You have what it takes to say that and mean it from truth, and have them receive that truth and go, holy shit, yeah, actually, I feel that. And that will change your entire child's life when they believe what you say. It will. If you made it to the end of this podcast episode, I know these topics can be emotional and they can be heavy, but they're real. They're real. And no amount of low-calorie, high-protein recipes on Instagram is going to save you unless you start cooking them. So let's step into action together. Please leave us a rating anywhere from 1 to 5 stars. Ratings really help us get this content out to other people that are sharing in the same struggles that I did my whole life and that you likely still are. It's the best way to support me as a creator and to support this podcast. We will see you all next week.